Since the last tour, did you have time to write new material for a pop or classical album?
Well, what I've been working on mainly since then really is more sort of another classical style album, to follow up 7, which I did obviously a few years ago. And I'm fairly close to having completed all the writing of that, but I've still got a lot of work to do in terms of arrangement and working out exactly how I'm going to do it, because I might not do it exactly as I did the last one. I might try and do more of the orchestration myself, because it'd be more fun. I mean, I enjoyed using the orchestration last time, but obviously it does tend to dilute the ideas slightly sometimes. And although on some pieces, pretty much what you get was my orchestration, particularly on the piece on that called Black Down. But the rest on some of the others, I had to rely on his arrangements a little bit more. And I would like to try and just get it a bit further this time. I think I'll probably still have to use an orchestrator to some extent, because I just don't have enough, final knowledge about what instruments can do. But I'd like to get a bit further this time, and I'd also perhaps like to take a bit more time recording it than I did last time too, because last time it was on a bit of a hurry, and some things didn't turn out quite as well as I hoped, although some things did.
So you want to take your time?
I want to take my time on it, and maybe build up the pieces more, rather than necessarily recording everything at the same time, which is obviously the classical way. But it's just sometimes I just sort of feel I can get a better result if I was perhaps to do some of it kind of, to get at least get a template down, in a sense that then we could work to, so you get all the tempos and things right, because it was quite difficult with the getting the speeds of the pieces, the individual sections right was quite a struggle. I mean, just you have an orchestra in there, got 80 people in there, and you go there for a couple of hours, and you're supposed to get sort of 10, 15 minutes of music out of it at the end of it. Yeah. You don't have much time to fiddle about, and you've got, half the time you're spent just ironing out obvious mistakes, wrong notes that have got into the score and everything. So it's a difficult, very different way of working. With Genesis, we spent sort of 3 months perfecting all the songs, building them up very, very slowly. Whereas in an orchestra, it all happens in an hour or two.
On the seventh album, I like very much the 7 album. You too, Geneviève.
Oh yeah, it's a very good. It was one of the albums I was playing in my classroom when they were working in teams and alone. I was playing 7, so they know 7.
So you play piano, I think on just 3 songs on 7 album, is it?
Yeah, I did a little bit of piano. It was just a little bit to
just
give it a
in
bit
the background.
More. Yeah, I wasn't really intending originally to play piano on it.
Are you going to play more in the next classical album? More piano?
I don't really know. I'm not sort of... It's when I do the orchestral pieces, I really kind of don't think of myself as a player. I'm just a writer. I really just prefer to be the composer and let other people do it, But I did it in the end because there was a little bit of piano that was required, and I thought I had a lot of pressure on me. People said, you should play on it. I said, okay, I'll play a bit. But to be honest, I played it after the orchestra had played, and it was extremely difficult to play along with the orchestra, as you can imagine. And so that was quite a lot of work to try and get anything out of there. I think it added a bit of body to some of the songs, but it wasn't a crucial thing. I mean, the piano it blended quite nicely with some of the orchestral pieces, particularly on the opening piece. Was the way it fitted in with the other instruments was nice. But it's I may play, but it's not something I feel strongly about,
Is it conceivable, Mr. Bang, that one day you're going to tour solo like Peter, Phil, Steve, and Mike did before? It would be great, don't you think?
I always get asked this. I kind of... there's a certain part of me that would quite enjoy it, I think. Another part of me that would sort of find the idea a bit too frightening, really. I don't know. I think the other problem you have a little bit is when you play live. I mean, all the people you've mentioned there, they're all, particularly obviously Peter and Phil and Mike, they've always had certain songs that kind of the audience knows very well, which means you can kind of lead to them. When you're constructing a show, it does sort of help a lot. Now, I know that if I did it at a concert, it would be people who knew my music, but you don't have the sort of the equivalent hits or anything that you can sort of really use as a focus for a set. And it makes it a lot more difficult to do, I think. But I mean, that doesn't mean to say you can't do it. It's just a more difficult kind of more difficult operation. And I don't really like, as you probably know, I don't really like the attention. So it kind of, and that's the other problem with doing a solo tour, is that you are the center of attention.
Yeah, even if you're not the frontman, that's still Tony Banks' tour. So that the attention would be on you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, more so, I think. Although
Yeah.
You know, you can do it. I mean, having seen Mike and the Mechanics, you know, Mike, he allowed, obviously, the Paul Young and Paul Carrick to be the front men, and he didn't sort of do too much, you know. So it sort of works okay. That I think you can kind of do it. I don't want to. I'm not very interested in talking to an audience or anything, you know. So it's just what you feel comfortable with, really. But I'm happy enough playing, and it's something that obviously be quite exciting to play one or two of those pieces live, you know. I mean, because they would sound nice, but it's. I'm not planning. There's no plan.
Yeah, are you considering maybe one day doing a band and do something else in the pop
a pop
era,
album?
a pop album or something like that? Do you, or
After
is
the
it
classical?
only just okay? I'm concentrating on classical and.
For the rest
No,
of
I think particularly after doing the remix, The Curious Feeling, I thought the idea of doing more stuff with drums and voice is quite appealing.
Yes.
I mean, I would like to do that, but it may be a little project later on or something. I don't really know. I haven't kind of quite thought. You know, I mean, it's just sort of it's in the back of my mind to do that again. I mean, it's you know, it'd be fun to do. I mean, it would be fun to do that again.
Do you still compose pop music, or is it really only focused on classical these
No,
days?
no. I mean, I do write stuff. You know, certainly stuff that would be applicable.
Okay, applicable. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, some of the stuff. You know, I mean, it also some of the stuff I write for the classical. You know, it can be used both ways in a way. You don't have to. You know, you can use melodic line in different forms. But I mean, at the moment, so what I'm saying at the moment is that my ideas are all sort of going into the classical thing. So I've got one or two ideas that obviously don't fit with that, but that are pop things. You know, I haven't really got any particular lot of material, if you like, to do another more poppy album, if you like. But it's just something I'm thinking of perhaps doing. But that would be. Perhaps in the future, you know, because I mean, obviously at the moment there's no fundamental with Genesis, and so that side of my life is not kind of so, my writing isn't so well explored. But it would be nice to perhaps do it.
So we can still hope.
Well, you can hope, you know, who knows? I mean, hopefully. I mean, it's something that may happen, but I mean, quite how it comes out these days, I don't know. I mean, it's quite difficult getting, you know, I mean, record companies are a bit, you know, maybe a thing of the past, but you can't, you know, to get a release of some kind is more tricky now than it was, you know. And so that's the sort of area I'd have to sort of think about a bit.